Hey, what's up, agency owners? Jason Swenk here, and have another amazing guest for you. We're going to talk about how your agency can use NFTs. That's right. And we're going to tell his story, and so you can do that. So let's go ahead and jump into the episode. Hey, Kent, welcome to the show.
A pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have you on. So tell us, who are you and what do you do?
So my name is Kent Lewis. I'm based in Portland, Oregon, since '95. Marketing PR background, but in '96 I got involved in the internet, started optimizing websites before Google was a thing, and I've been a part of 9 agencies. Founded two, co-founded two, but when I was fired the second time from an agency that I was a key manager in, I decided I'm probably unemployable, better do my own thing. So started out in 2000 with Anvil Media as a consultancy and started bringing in employees in '03, and have been active in keeping a relatively boutique sized digital marketing agency since then. And when I'm not doing the agency thing, I'm trying to get outside. That's the great thing about Portland. We're an hour and a half from the ocean, from the mountains, from rivers, you name it.
Awesome. So are you a fly fisherman?
Haha. My first ever fly fishing experience was on the Deschutes River in Central Oregon about 3 months ago. This gal, one of my friends, she gave me the rod and said 10 and 1, just keep throwing it, and I caught at least a solid 3.5 inch steelhead. So I didn't eat it. It was probably good for a pizza, but I could guess you could say I was maybe hooked. So I think I might uh, try more of that later. But I'm mostly like bike cycling, snowboarding, skiing kind of guy.
Very cool. We'll get along very well. That's all me. That's why I lived in the mountains. But we're not here to talk about the mountains. Let's talk about. I'm curious because I've been fired from almost every job. Why were you fired from that one agency?
Well, so the first time I was fired was an agency I co-founded in '99, and by fall of 2000, we had a disagreement about equity in our role. There were two junior folks. I was like 25, 26 at the time, and there was the founder who used his 401k to fund it, and we helped grow it to 3.5 million, 35 people in less than 2 years. But we had gone in, much to the chagrin of myself, my other young partner who ran the PR side, and I ran the internet side. She's like, I'm going in to get more equity. Are you in? I was like, I guess, yeah, because I helped build this thing. And he was offended by that. And instead of firing just her, he fired both of us. And that the next week, October 2000, I created Anvil as a placeholder. Interestingly, the name Anvil Media comes from an e-zine I'd been running for 4 years, and thought, well, I'll just sell the e-zine for $1 million and retire. It's still archived at anvil-media.com, but I haven't touched it since '06. Uh, Not worth a dime now. But that team that I left in late 2000 was acquired by another agency, and then my boss, who was my mentor, and it was tragic to me that we had a falling out. He died of a massive heart attack at 42. So they needed somebody to run my old team. So this old school agency that had very little knowledge or understanding of what I do asked me to take my team back over, and I tripled revenue. And then in the end, my girlfriend decided the creative director was more interesting than I was, even though he was married. And since he was on the board and had been there 20 years, he had a little more juice than I did and can my ass. And then I decided I better do my own thing. So it was about a girl the second time. Uh, Actually, it was about a girl both times. The other was my business partner, and she was very amazing and also made a lot of bad mistakes. And I got lumped in when she and I united. So there's a whole book there somewhere when I have the
Yeah,
time. But it was never about my performance. It was never about my abilities. It was always about bad judgment. I'm not innocent in it so much as I picked the wrong horses.
yeah,
I guess you could say.
gotcha. Well, I do want to get to how you tripled revenue later on, but I do want to get into the NFTs. So, explain for some people that have, I mean, if you've been living under a rock, what an NFT is, and then how can agencies use NFTs to really benefit their agency?
Yeah, so it's actually a great story, but I'll just answer your question directly. And if we have time, I'll go into the backstory because it exemplifies the timing in my career. I'm not that smart. I'm a tall white male with a short name, and I'm not unattractive. And I think that's been as much of my success as hard work and smarts. So anyway, NFTs. So I've been reading about, what Pizza Hut and Pringles and all these brands were messing around doing these little PR stunts, basically creating these little non-fungible tokens, meaning they're little digital assets that you can own, and buy, sell, trade. And because they're part of blockchain, you can have a whole history of that item. So brand, we'll get into why it matters to marketers, but to back then, we're talking March, April, in March of this year, 2021. I was like, this seems like Second Life. If you remember Second Life, the virtual world, I was consulting with HP on that, like however many 14 years ago, and I realized for the first time in my career, I could be one word ahead or one sentence ahead in the book. I didn't have to write the book. I didn't have to write the chapter. I just needed to spend a little more time on it and think about it just another 30 minutes longer than my client, and then help guide them through how to create a second life experience. Same thing with it's all over again, right? The world repeats. It's a spiral, a circle, historically speaking, is even in tech. And so I read about these non-fungible tokens. You create this asset like these virtual tacos or virtual pizzas, like Pizza Hut or these Pringle gold chips. And then people get excited because you're an early adopter, even if there's a fairly worthless asset. But it wasn't, because people were reselling these on the secondary market. They got them for free and they were selling them for 10, 20, $30,000. And I was like, this sounds a lot like Bitcoin for brands. And so I wrote a press release April 1st, as I've been doing the last 15 to 18 years. I write a fake press release on April 1st every year. And this one was about NFTs. And NFTs, you might know them as these most famous things: digital watches from Jacobson and Company, or digital sneakers. And so I took the idea of the digital sneaker because we're in the backyard of Adidas America and of course Nike. And I said, these other agencies are building digital sneakers. We're 10 steps ahead. We're building virtual shoe boxes to store your virtual sneakers, to put in a virtual closet, in a virtual house that we build for you just to store your digital sneakers. It's totally full of it, right? Totally riffing off of a core concept. And lo and behold, a very large social media platform with a blue logo reached out to me and said, "Hey, we need help. We're doing a virtual sneaker build for one of their communities, and they could tell that we're very serious about it by reading that press release." So they didn't read the press release that closely. Bless their hearts. And that led to another conversation. So basically, what I did is I thought back to Second Life. I was like, shoot, if they're serious, then I'm serious. So I read up on it. I wrote an article that's on a website called thinknorthwest.org. It's a bit ad network for the West Coast, Portland, San Francisco, etc., about what is NFT and why does it matter. And we can talk more about that in the second leg of this question. But in the end, I've been talking to three large brands, including a sneaker brand, about how to use NFTs, including one of the brands. It's a big technology company with a black and white logo that basically is trying to use it for B2B. How do you get into the tech community? And can we use NFTs to incentivize behaviors for deep tech clientele? Even the OEM channel, reseller channel, very complicated, convoluted, not theoretically as sexy. And I love the challenge. So I'm talking with them in an hour to try and see if we can finalize a project. So long story short, we took this, what was a press release joke, into a reality of an offering to clients, and we're having these multiple discussions with larger brands. And so in the past, I've evangelized mobile marketing, video marketing, podcasting, voice search, Amazon marketing, and I evangelize it with my PR background, speak about it, write about it, and then develop through my articles a concept or a structure for a service, and then sell that service. And I've done that for most of my career. And the NFT thing happened to start out as a joke, healthy skepticism that it was really something useful. But as I did the research, I realized it's extremely powerful because it solves NFTs, non-fungible tokens, unlike Bitcoin, where there's equal value. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. I own one, you own one. It's the same value. And non-fungible is a one-off item that you can pay me for with Bitcoin, but it's non-replicable, non-scalable. And so the idea is you're owning an asset for something. And that's why you can say this 30 grand to own this, or the meme of the fire girl, the little girl with the blazing fire out of her house, and she's staring at the camera. And they sold that gal, now that she's going into college, sold it for $500,000 and helped fund college and gave some to charity, just for some rich person to own the digital rights to that, right? Beeple's $69 million collage. He's arguably not a good artist, but he's a first mover, developed a lot of credibility in the space, and had enough of a following that some very wealthy art collector, using the term loosely, decided to get in a bidding war and spend crazy money. But how does that relate to brands? So there's a couple things to keep in mind for NFTs, and that is, there's, because it's blockchain, it's trackable, defensible. You can't fake it. There's no fraud, theft, or manipulation possible with an NFT. You can create as many copies as you want. You can sell them. You can give them away. But it allows, in the end, it allows for a few different things for brands. One is just general awareness. So the things that you've seen in the press related to these predominantly quick service restaurants or retail brands, manufacturers and retail lifestyle brands, Pringles, Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, Charmin has an NFTP, as in TP. So they're just creating brand awareness. And if you like the brand, you might love them for that if you're technologically savvy. But what I think is the next phase, because that's really what's happening the last year, is what's happening the next year is a brand engagement, brand perception management. So luxury brands are getting into it. Gucci, Jacobs and Company. Like I said, Jacobs, and erroneously, a very expensive watch brand, had sold an NFT watch for $100,000. Again, fairly worthless, other than to the buyer, right? So brand engagement, what I think is really the secret sauce is, and this is where it gets into the B2B world where it can apply, is in the engagement for the customer, and customer retention, is using it for gamification and incentives. So tokens, loyalty reward programs, earn certain tokens, and those tokens can be exchanged for things, art, music, whatever. And so it's really just a clever way to up your ante and be seen as a forward-looking brand or an agency that creates this stuff for clients. Because a lot of, like, the Top Shot NBA virtual trading cards, of the top 10 most expensive trading cards of all time, up there with Honus Wagner, is the Dallas Maverick, right? In his card, traded for almost $3 million, and it's a digital card. But in my backyard, Damian Lillard with the Portland Trailblazers, he's added special access to groups, discussion groups, VIP access to certain events, or just access to him. So you're paying a premium, but you're getting something that's very exclusive. That's really what NFTs are about right now. For now, is exclusivity. I think also that the next phase, which will be 1+ years out, would be the product extensions. Agencies helping brands create products that are a natural extension of their current offerings, especially in a post-pandemic world. There's a lot more of this remote work, remote communication. So creating products that are more digital and interactive is particularly interesting right now. And then the last component would be the tokenization of time. So as an agency, you could tokenize your time where it can be bought and sold on the secondary market. Why people might do that, hard to say. But there's Ruben Ramathanan, who's with IDEO Colab Ventures. He's tokenized his time, and one token's equal to 1 hour of his time. And the guy might trade his time. I might have to pay him $500 to $1,000 an hour. But if I get a good deal on a token, I might save a ton of money. More than likely, you're probably right now paying more for a token than it's worth. And then related to that is just creating that digital ecosystem. So when I mentioned Second Life, there's a new version of that, and there are many of them actually, but one of them that's popular is called Super World, where you can own the Taj Mahal, the Eiffel Tower, in a virtual recreation of the world, the planet, using satellite imagery. You could add things into that world. You can develop things like Second Life, but mainly, if you want to say I own the Eiffel Tower, you can go in Super World and buy it if it's not already been purchased since I last looked. The Great Wall, Taj Mahal, etc. So those are just some of the ways brands are using it today. One that I glossed over that's product extension, good example, is gaming. So you've got Ubisoft has a game called Rabbids. F1 has Delta Time. So what F1 has done well with their reality show on I think Netflix, and then this F1 Delta Time, it's NFT assets related to kind of gamification of F1 is they're extending out what is a very elite, wealthy following. Most people don't fly to Monaco to watch the race from a yacht, but there are other ways to interact with the brand, and F1 has mastered that. And then even Microsoft has a fairly ghetto Minecraft-like game called Azure Space Mystery that is kind of remedial, but it's in the NFT world. So how that relates is Fortnite, if it stays relevant for another year or two, or other games like it, you could buy and sell armor and weapons and other customizations. That's one way you can buy, sell, and trade your gear within the games would be through NFTs because of the trackability, the uniqueness, the anti-fraud protection, and then brands can obviously create assets and then know that they protected that asset through NFTs. So that's a fairly thorough answer, I think. Sorry.
Now my head's spinning, which with ideas, and I mean it's just to comprehend all of this is a little overwhelming of figuring out. But it's really pretty fascinating. That's where a lot of the world is actually going, and those are some great examples, from F1 and Microsoft, and even how some of the agencies are selling their time for EFTs. It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it
For now, it is, and it will settle down. It's more profound. Gary Vaynerchuk has doubled down. So if you want to figure out how does an agency monetize NFTs, just look at what Gary Vaynerchuk has done with NFTs. And I've had the luxury of seeing him speak twice, and I thought he was just a grade A douchebag and nothing better. And he's far more than that. In fact, I firmly believe that is his character, his act, and he really has a huge heart and does a lot of good things. You just wouldn't know it because he has a potty mouth, which I have no problem with, and just the way he kind of yells and preaches at people. But he has a lot of good things. I never disagree that he's a smart guy and he's on point. But he's doubling down on NFTs in ways that makes me look like a troglodyte, like like I don't get it. And he's built a whole marketplace and a bunch of assets, and that's cool because he can do that because he shouldn't even be working anymore, but he's never going to stop. So look at what he's done if you want to see what a true agency pioneer that started out just as a small wine dealer has done. It's pretty remarkable.
yeah. What give us one example of what you really like that he's doing in his agency using NFTs.
Well, I like that he's giving back. So with his NFT agency, and I we're going to apply because we're doing an NFT mural fundraiser here in Portland in September. But we can apply once we build the NFT and what you call mint it. Then we can apply if we put it on the right marketplace and use the right technology. He can use some of the proceeds and resources he's developed with his NFT company, like basically an NFT agency, to help you build something better, especially if it is for a nonprofit or cause-driven social responsibility sort of thing, and you can get some horsepower. So he's already built giving back into his model, which I really appreciate and admire. So look at what he's doing there. So he's not just riding the money train; he's pivoting that to provide opportunities to do social good in the process.
Awesome. Well, this has been very educational and really pretty cool to listen to. What's the website people can go and check the agency out?
You can go to anvilmediainc.com or just Google Anvil Media. You'll find me with Anvil Portland, Anvil Kent Lewis, whatever. And then if you just Google Anvil, or sorry, Kent Lewis NFT, or just go to thinknorthwest.org and their blog, you'll find my article, NFT Marketing, How Brands Can Use NFTs to Engage Consumers and Generate Revenue. I think that's a great read. And then just also look at what Gary Vaynerchuk and NFTs, look that up in news and on Google search generally, and you'll find a lot of great information.
Awesome. Everyone go check that out. And thanks so much, Kent, for coming on the show. And if you guys like this episode, make sure you guys subscribe. Also, if you want to be around other agency owners who's on the cutting edge and they're sharing the stuff that's working and be able to see the things that you might not be able to see, I'd love to invite all of you to join our exclusive mastermind. It's called the Digital Agency Elite. So go to digitalagencyelite.com. and apply. And then if we feel that you're right for the community and the community is right for you, we'll have a conversation and see if it's double check that. And so make sure you go there now. And until next time, have a swank day.